The cost of being compromised. Fire burns to ashes what is defiled. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I have a message I'd like to share with us, but I think before I get in on the word, I'd like to read some notes. So, compromised people and compromised things will naturally fall off of grace, okay? Despite our efforts to try and save them, automatically by themselves, they just fall off grace, okay? They were already defiled, they're already contaminated, they're already compromised. So, I'm reading the book of Genesis, chapter 19. Genesis chapter 19. I was blessed by this and I just wanted to share it with us. So this is Genesis chapter 19, verse 12 to 15. Genesis 19, 12 to 15. It is titled Sodom and Gomorrah Destroyed. Verse 12. Now this is when the two angels had come into Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot saw them and he called them to his house, and he insisted that they spend the night at his house. The two men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place." The outcry to the Lord against his people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. Meaning, Sodom and Gomorrah had filled their pots of sin. God is full of grace. He's not willing that any should perish, but God gives us each that allowance time to repent. But when that pot is full, God's wrath comes. Okay? So I want to read verse 14. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." I would like to read verse 16 as a bonus. When he hesitated, the man grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and of his two daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. Okay? Can I read the last verse? Verse 17. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." Now, Lot, being a good man, he understood that the angels had come to destroy the city, but he wanted to save as many people as he could, you know. So the angels were like, "Is there anyone that belongs to you in the city?" So it's like, "Yeah, I've got sons-in-law to be. They've pledged to marry my daughters. Let me go get them." So even his kindness was not enough to save them, because they were already compromised. They were already compromised. That is what happens when you're compromised. It's the weight of sin. So how can God, who's full of love, full of mercy, want to kill the men, the women, the children, the animals of Sodom and Gomorrah? What about the spoils? Did he have to destroy their gold and silver as well? So in Sodom and Gomorrah, men, women, children, and animals were already compromised. They were already defiled. They were already contaminated. Someone might say, "Well, what about the babies?" You know, there are usually in cultures of this nature, the very children are already dedicated to their gods. So the very children are already compromised. They are defiled. They are contaminated. That is why they couldn't even save. That's why the Lord didn't even want any of the animals. Contamination is real. What is defiled is defiled. Okay, and God is holy. God is holy. So they were already defiled, they couldn't be saved. And it's amazing that even though Lot tried his most to try and save his son in laws, even they couldn't be saved. They couldn't comprehend in their minds that God, the God of heavens, the God of Lot, would actually destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Like they thought, like it's not possible. This must be a joke. So even that warning from the Lord, it couldn't save them. And that is the case with people who are just running out of time. People were filled their pots of sin to the brim, and even the very people who are actually running out of time. They are the kinds of people whom, when you try to evangelize them, to correct them, they will not hear you. They will so not hear you. It's as if they're like in too deep. Okay. Let us look at Haman. Haman's lust for power, for adoration. It now became demonic. He compromised himself, opening himself up for demonic influence and demonic possession, where he now felt so arrogant and so proudful that everybody should bow down to him. And it angered him that Mordecai and the Jews had this belief, this culture, this religion that did not honor him. He wanted to be honored. He wanted to be seen, and he felt disrespected. He felt like some sort of a small letter God. Okay, he felt like that God. To him, he was some sort of a god. Okay, small cap god though. So this opened him to the enemy. His hatred for Mordecai and his people, the Jews, caused him to be compromised. He was now contaminated, he was defiled. But now the problem and the pattern of the people who are contaminated, who are defiled, who are compromised, is that they don't go down alone. And that's sad. And that's something I'm actually realizing now as I'm going through these notes that I've written. So Haman and his sons had to be killed. Now they were killed on the gallows that were prepared to kill Mordecai. Mordecai, who raised Esther the queen. So it's sad that he opened himself up, and he didn't only just bear the cost, the price, the punishment, he dragged his children into it. And it's by luck that he could have dragged his wife as well and his daughters if he had any. So usually in stories like this, you'll find that it's usually the whole people that actually thrown in. Let us look at, I'm reminded now of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Is it Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Or was it also the same case for Daniel, where it was said that their enemies will be thrown in with their families? So it's amazing the contamination, that it is real. It is real. Okay. So God is just. If it was not a justified action, God would not have allowed it. God would have said strictly, let it be those men. So it means their families were defiled, meaning they went home and were blaspheming the men of God with that family, and they all put in their 2 cents. Okay, that's what I understand. So Haman already planted those seeds in those children. So even in Sodom and Gomorrah, they already planted the seeds of idol worship and all sorts of filth in their children. Those children are already trained and groomed. Some are already carrying demons inside of them. They're already possessed and just ready to follow suit in the steps of their parents. And just like any other generation, they will obviously do more than their previous generation. Hallelujah. What about Ananias and Sapphira in Acts 5? When they sold the land, they were supposed to bring in the money to the temple, yet they kept some of their money and dug it and hid it in their home. And so they dug a hole in their home and they hid the money. And then when it was presented, they asked Ananias, like, is this all the money you sold for the land? He said, yes. And he didn't have to lie. It's his land. He could have given whatever he wanted to give. It was better than lying. And it cost him his life. And his wife was called, and she decided to stand by her husband. She was already contaminated. Why? Because when he thought of this wonderful idea to steal the money, he sat with her and they both decided what they were going to do with the money. So they were both contaminated, they were compromised, they were defiled. So some people God has cut out of your life because they got compromised. They got defiled. They got contaminated. Okay? And some of you yourself had to cut off people because they were compromised. They were contaminated. You had to cut them off yourself. Okay? Because they were defiled. And someone might say, well, in terms of cutting off people, would you cut off children as well? With regards to that, I would like to say, children reveal exactly what the parents think about you. Children will reveal to you exactly what their parents think about you. Have you ever had to deal with someone and you have a good relationship with them, but when you have to meet their children are somehow towards you, or their partner is somehow towards you? Why is that? It's because of the things that this person is told about you. But now, and it's a sad thing, even growing up, I remember whenever adults would have their meetings, they would say, children, go away, go away, go out. And they always said, as children, like, I understand now they were just trying to keep the kids pure, to keep the children undefiled, to protect the little minds. Do you know the kinds of children who sit at tables when the parents are gossiping about a certain family member? You know what those children do? If you speak ill of a particular family member, let's say that you speak ill of the uncle, when the uncle comes or when these children of yours interact with the uncle, they will bring out the aura from the home, the spirit from the home. You pretend and you're smiling, but these children are not going to do that. They will reveal that aura, and that is from the teenagers going all the way down. They will show They'll show how you feel. Some will even say the things you say, but in their own childish way. But a person can hear that this child is defiled. This child's mom probably said 1, 2, 3 about me. Now this child is now saying, there's no way a child this age would say something like this. And why is this child quoting this? It means this child heard it from the mother or from the father or from the parents. So let us be careful as people. Like if we want to do our own things, let us protect the little minds. Let us protect the pure minds, the pure hearts. You know, let us not involve the children. Let us not involve the children. I know this other particular woman. She was quite interesting, to tell you the truth. She's a policewoman. Okay, this woman, when she's angry with someone, I'm just calling it out because yeah, even if she were to find out this video, I don't see the reason why she would think it's her. There's so many people that I know who are police women. When this woman has a problem with someone, the entire family now gangs up against that person. And if you're close to her, she'll also let you know, as if to somehow recruit you to be part of her gang. And her and her children will now be funny against the person. When the person now greets them, now they don't greet. And now you are left in the middle thinking like, okay, now she has a problem with this woman. The woman is greeting her, she's not greeting back. She's greeting the children are not greeting back. Like what are we doing as parents? Like, what is it that now we need our children to fight our own battles for us? Like, what narcissistic tendency is that now when we have issues, now we now drag our children? you know I can understand if perhaps it's an issue of, okay, the so and so person is a warlock, they're into witchcraft, and you want to protect the children. That's a different story. Like, you want to like warn them, don't go there, don't eat that. That's different. Or so and so, that man is somehow like, kids must be careful, there must be this, there must be that, considering the kind of what like the kind of life that we have now, like the kind of things that play out, in terms of protecting the children. That's a different story. But in terms of like now, when you have a problem with someone, now you're draining the kids. And it gets interesting when the people now make up, now the kids still carry beef for the parents. So these parents who gossip about other people to their children or with their children in their presence, when they make up with the person, why don't they also call a meeting to speak to the children? I've seen this play out many times, and I actually learned from that myself. Like, even me, if there are things I want to speak about that I feel may impact the child, I try not to speak, because this child um is gonna carry the aura. I know what I'm talking about, because there's a particular kid. I remember this kid when she spoke to me. I never again looked at that child the same way again. And to me, I just looked at her and I'm like, this is no child. This is not a child. Like, I'm not gonna be disrespected by a child again. I'm like, so this child's mom laughs at my face, and yet this is what her child says. And in which I had a dream where she was smiling, but I remember she was not okay in her heart. Her heart was grumbling against me. But in the dream, I was waiting for her to cough it out, but she didn't cough anything out. And I was not going to force anything out of her. I just thought, like, well, if she's not ready to talk, I'll let her be. But in real life, I saw her child being somewhat, and I immediately just removed myself completely from that kid. I just felt this is no child. No child talks like this. No child behaves like this. Like, I won't even tolerate it. And even that child knows, like, I just stay far. I just keep it cordial. I keep it sweet. I keep it cute. And I move on, you know. So people compromise their children, it's so sad. When we have problems with other adults, let's not drag our children in them. Let us learn to fight our own battles. That we should bring our own children to help us fight or to help us hate them. We are compromising the children. We are teaching them to hate. We're teaching them to be somehow. I know of a woman who once said, I don't understand this man. And when he comes in, the kids also run to hug the person. I'll tell the kids not to hug the person. I said, no, leave the children. It was another way of saying, keep the children's hearts pure. Because your case against this person is not that this person is going to hurt the kids, it's just other issues. But the kids can still love. Like, the children need to be loved. Like, let's also understand, putting this kind of spirit inside the child, it repels other adults from the very kid, because that kid is learning to exude such energy towards adults. Okay. And for someone who has a problem with what the new age talk, please, with me it's different. I use the English which God created, okay? It was first God, and then the new age people adopted it. So please let me use this English, or I'll just revert to Sepedi or to isiZulu. Okay, I don't want to speak Zulu or Pedi, so please let your girl be, okay? Yeah, so I feel sad that when people have issues, they want to defile the little ones. Let's leave them, because when God's punishment comes, now they will have to bear a share. It's in the Bible. People compromise the children. They compromise them. Meaning that now the person opens himself up for demon possession or demon control. And then that is defiled. It's contaminated. Let us protect the children. Let us protect the children. Even if we should lose our salvation, at least let the children have a fair chance of making it into heaven. You know? Yeah. I never meant to go that route, but yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you. God bless.